live from Soho, New York City, or the Seven Circle of Hell, depending on how you feel about Soho. It's Wearable Electronics with Becky Stern.
Try to keep a straight face. Sometimes this neighborhood is, I like to call it the Seventh Circle of Hell, depending on how long the cronut line is. Welcome everybody to the show today. Like Phil said, I'm Becky Stern. It's, September 10th. We are live. Yeah. With me is Mr. Lady Ada himself, wrangler of the residents of the Seventh Circle of Hell.
We have across the street from Adafruit there, or like one block down, there is the Halloween, like world famous Halloween haunted house thing. That's starting up soon.
Above Jazzy's?
Haunted Mansion.
Oh yeah, the Haunted Mansion, and then also the Halloween parade starts down here.
Yeah, we're in Halloween Central.
Halloween Central, which on the day of the parade is the Seventh Circle of Hell.
Yeah.
What's on today's show, Phil?
Oh, that's a good question. On today's show, we're going to have Wearable Wednesday.
We're going to show you some cool people's projects and debut a new, perhaps goggle-related project.
That's right. Component of the week.
It's a battery holder, that one.
Material spotlight.
We now have multicolored heat shrink.
That's really pretty. Questions and answers. You got questions? Becky has answers.
And you could win a Flora if you ask me a question. So we'll answer questions at the end. I have selected these questions from comments on previous episodes. So if you have a question about wearable electronics, put it in the comments at any time during the show or throughout the week. Hit me up on Twitter or Google Plus or Face to Snap to Chat, and I'll select your questions and answer them live on the show, making you eligible for our giveaway today. It is a Flora.
That's right. All that and more on Wearable Electronics with Becky Stern. Okay, well, our first thing that we like to do is take care of some biz. The code is goggles. The goggles did do something to get you 10% off.
Exactly. We will be making many Simpsons and goggles quotes.
I've been waiting all morning to do that.
All morning. So Phil, can you answer me this age-old wearable electronics question? What are you wearing?
Oh, good question. So this week, I'm wearing 3D printed from the famous design firm, Pixel 3D, the Royce brothers.
You're wearing the Spring and Summer 2014
This year, glowing
edition.
orange is in.
If you want to build your own 3D printed horns for the straps of your goggles or your headband, your child's headband, that's a project on the Adafruit Learning System.
Yeah, these are great.
LED fire horns. If we print them in Ninja Flex, then they're not.
They're squishy.
They're squishy and safe. I am wearing today's project, which I can't see through, like you can see through yours. I can't just get a wire in my eye if I do.
Yeah, maybe at the end of the show, I'll turn off the lights.
Yeah, sure. We'll have a disco dance party rave.
Yeah.
All right, sweet.
Okay.
I'm wearing this week's project, but we'll talk more about that, and you'll learn how to build it later.
Okay. All right, want to jump right in?
Yes.
All right, let's do this thing. So, Wearable Wednesday, how could we have a wearable electronics show without talking about what everyone's talking about?
I don't know. Gee, Phil, why don't you tell me how we couldn't?
So, Apple Watch debuted yesterday. I watched the keynote live, and then I also watched their 12-minute commercially ad.
Yeah.
And boy, it's a beautiful thing. I mean,
nice piece of engineering.
Yeah, they there's all sorts of aesthetics things that are really cool, but behind the scenes and some of the technology things that I think is really interesting is all the software. So payments.
Yeah.
So as an online retailer, credit cards are kind of a mess, and kind of all payments are a mess. And the new iPhone 6 has NFC, and you can do things like use your watch to make a payment. Yeah. You can do things like check in on flights. So all the things that people always imagined doing, it really requires all of the services and agreements and weird stuff. So the Touch Pay or Apple Pay that goes into this whole ecosystem, you put your credit cards in and then you can scan it uses Touch ID. So apparently the rumor is Apple was able to negotiate way better rates because if someone's using that credit card, it's on their phone, they have their fingerprint.
Yeah.
And so there's some biometric security involved, and credit card fraud affects everyone. We spend a lot of time fighting it as an online retailer.
Yeah.
And in person, every week you hear about Home Depot, credit card stolen, you hear about Target, you hear about P.F. Chang. So very neat ecosystem that goes in together. So I think in addition to the hardware, much like Apple's kind of MO, all the software that goes into it is pretty intense. So what did you think of the watch?
I couldn't watch the whole commercial.
Yeah, you can. It was a long commercial.
It was long. It's 12 minutes long.
Johnny Ive is just singing a song. It's a long song.
I know. The interface design is really cool. The idea of a touchscreen device with a thing that you don't have to obscure the knobs. You don't have to obscure the small screen to use it is cool. I'd like to play with it when it comes out, but I don't have and probably will never use an iPhone as my primary phone. So I look at it just as a market force thing that will make smartwatches more popular and the idea of putting electronics on your body more popular. So thanks for spending all of that advertising money.
Billions of dollars will go into people thinking, well, what else could I put on my body that does something that in electronics? And
it's beautiful, and I mean, I'm sure I'll borrow the work iPhone and try it out for a little while.
So we'll get one for Adafruit. We might take it apart, but they'll be tear down some, maybe we won't. I probably will, because I can't help it. And then we have a Moto 360 you're going to get.
I'm still on the wait list
that's
for
an
that,
Android one.
So yeah, I mean, it's cool. Smartwatches are neat. I don't wear a watch, so it'll be interesting to see. I'm a pretty tough case for, like, will you wear it? Because bracelets get annoying for me, but it is beautiful. I like this sort of gold. The buckle is really nice. Like, it's a pretty thing.
All right, next up.
Back to the world of DIY wearable electronics, which is where we like to spend most of our time. It's only the second circle of hell. A viewer wrote that in on last week's show about his first EL wire project. Look at these adorable.
It should be like a Fisher Price thing. My first EL.
My first EL. Chris wrote in to show us his first EL project and thanked us for providing easy to use, getting started with EL wire kits, and I think your outfit looks fabulous.
Next up.
Each week on the blog, we share wearable electronics projects with you. There's dozens and dozens of them. And this week, our new guest blogger, Brooklyn Morris, posted up this cool technique for EL wire it's a leather cutout. It's on Instructables. The name, let's see, Michaela Holmes made this beautiful EL wire necklace with cutout leather, and she laser cut the leather and a leather holder for the battery, but you can just cut it out with an X-Acto knife. She puts the templates online, and it's really there's no extra soldering required or anything. It's just slid over the EL to give it this really cool effect, and I think it's super fly.
Leather NeoPixel strips.
I could try that too. It kind of makes the EL look like a strip of LEDs in that way.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But it's EL wire, so so check out the blog. Oh, we have another blog project. Yeah, so Leslie posted this. It's an student from my alma mater program at Parsons who made this. Her name's, I'm going to butcher her delicious Turkish name, Berçe Özkan. I'm really sorry in advance.
That's a really cool skirt.
It's a skirt with feathers, and it's got one of our magnetometers in it, so the feathers raise up when she's walking north or walking in a particular cardinal direction, similar to the way migrating birds can tell which way they're going. They have some kind of compass, and it
the why it's
makes
called
their
cardinal direction because it's a bird?
Yeah, it is. Because birds fly north. Yeah. So the skirt is, you can watch the whole video on the blog post, but I thought it was really cool. It's I love subtle wearables like that don't have any LEDs in them. It's just kind of like a subtle action, and it's supposed to be more fashion-y and expressive of your personality and less about the flashy tech. So
it's not look at this thing that's blinking.
Right. It's although I do love that too.
All right.
Anyway, nice project.
Events. We have some events coming up.
We have 2 events coming up. This one is the Wear Plus D eCuerpo Hackathon Plus Conference in Mexico City. That's happening December 19th, 20th, and 21st. That's coming up soon, same weekend as Maker Faire.
Yeah.
And I didn't put a Maker Faire slide in either. Maker Faire's the same weekend in New York.
Yeah, next weekend.
And I'm going to be a judge for their hackathon on Sunday.
Okay.
Molly's going to help translate.
That's right.
Even though I speak just the un poquito de español.
Yeah.
Then later on in October is the Wear It Berlin Wearable Electronics Festival, put on by Trafopop, which is the Berlin Wearable Electronics and Bicycle Collective. It's super cool. Leslie Birch is going to speak there, give a talk about sensors. Their lineup is really good. Okay. If it weren't right after Open Hardware Summit in Rome, I would have wanted to go to this, but I just can't be. I'm a fragile, delicate flower and can't spend that long away from home.
The other thing, which is amazing, is look how many wearable events there are compared to last year.
Yeah, and they're not just these corporate. Sorry for these other. It's this is legit cultural. This one and the one in Mexico City are people who do DIY wearables. Kate Hartman, Leslie, Hannah Perner Wilson. All of these, all the people on there, they're not just CEOs of startup companies with wearables. They're actually people who do DIY stuff.
Yeah.
These 2 events in particular, and they're happening more and more all over the world. And that's why I feel bad because I can't go to them all, and I get invited
Well, you broadcast online.
I broadcast online, and I am judging the other one remotely.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's a possibility. But it's really fun to see lots of these events pop up over the world and use. Both events are using Adafruit products in their hackathons.
Yeah, we're sponsors. We're doing stuff.
Yeah, media sponsor, blah blah, all that kind of good stuff. So.
Next
Those
up.
are cool. Amy Ratcliffe went to another Comic-Con this weekend.
Yeah.
She went to the Baltimore Comic-Con, and she sent me these 2 videos of. I've asked her now to just send me clips of cool LED.
This is great.
These are fabulous costumes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amy, for sending these in. Baltimore. Do you know what these characters are? That one I recognize sort of as like a
This is one of the. This is Mechagodzilla.
Mechagodzilla, right? Yeah.
I like it like this head cups out. Oh, hello.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I don't know what this one is though. Do you?
I don't.
It's awesome. I'll be shameless about my lack of knowledge of pop culture characters.
Speaking of blinky things that are kind of costumey.
Oh yeah, it's costume goggles time. Hey, Phil, did you want to see all nothing but Halloween projects from now until Halloween?
Yeah, I think that'd be a really good idea.
Great, I'm so glad you feel that way
okay.
because we're going to show you nothing but Halloween projects from now until Halloween.
Okay, that's good.
Electronic Halloween starts now, September 10th.
Whoa, all right.
I mean, it started last week with the Daft Punk helmet.
Okay, all right, well, we'll play a video. Let's roll this.
These are the Kaleidoscope eyes, a pair of NeoPixel ring goggles made with Adafruit's tiny Gemma or Trinket microcontroller. They're fun and easy to build, and they go great with your Mad Scientist Halloween costume. Let's get started. Our 16 pixel rings fit perfectly into most round-style goggles, and we even carry a set of costume goggles in the shop for this very project. You need 2 rings, a Gemma or Trinket, battery pack, wire, and a switch. From your tool bin, grab your soldering iron, helping hands, wire strippers, heat shrink tubing, and hot glue gun. Build the circuit according to the diagram for this project you can find at the link in the description. Make sure you leave enough wire to travel from one lens to another, and orient the rings properly so the animations look right side up. Upload the sample code to your microcontroller and test the circuit before putting it in your goggles. Create a switch for your circuit by soldering up this JST adapter to a tactile on-off switch. Don't forget to add some heat shrink before you solder. Test your complete circuit on battery power, then it's time to set it up inside the goggles. You can use the goggles as is or pop out the dark lens and use it as a template for some paper diffusers. Remember, these are costume goggles. You wear them on your head or your hat, not over your eyes. Secure the rings inside the lenses with dabs of hot glue, and likewise secure the connecting wires, microcontroller, and the switch. I added a bit of E6000 after the hot glue to keep the switch very securely in place. I tucked a 500 mAh battery into the second eyepiece without glue, then cinched all the wires at the nose bridge with a zip tie. For longer battery life, you can run long wires to a bigger battery pack in your pocket. You can find all of the parts for this project at Adafruit.com and follow Phil B's guide on the Adafruit Learning System to build your own. How would you style your goggle costume? Let us know in a comment and subscribe for more Halloween wearables from Adafruit.
All right, before we talk about the goggles, I have some breaking news that just happened while we were
What is
away. This is Frankenberry. He's a cereal mascot. That's who that is.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
We now return to
commenter in the chat.
Regularly scheduled other blinky things.
I should have asked you guys to begin with. I don't know.
Okay.
Next time I will.
All right, so that's the thing.
Yeah, so goggles. I can show them on the overhead, our new HD overhead. If you
let's do
want.
that.
I mean, it was HD before. Our new well-lit HD overhead. They're built in such a way that you don't look through them. I think that like maybe you could mod them so that you could look through them. You put the battery on the outside.
Yeah, sure.
But I liked the way they looked with just like the wire. The thing is, this project is so easy to customize that you can choose to have this out here. If you choose to use the longer battery pack and put it in your pocket, that battery pack has a switch on it already, so maybe you don't need this switch on the side. The trinket can be glued into the side here or into the eyepiece. I put this battery here, but I didn't glue it in, so like I could put it on the outside and then maybe look through the glasses. It's just tricky. But this is a great project by Phil B, and we decided to make a video about it because it's popular and there wasn't a video. So thanks Phil B for writing the amazing project that made it so easy for me to make this video.
Okay.
And you can use Gemma or Trinket. We sell the goggles in the shop. Lots of animations for these guys.
And discount if you want to make this project, you could spend less.
The project like this, out of all the projects we do, this one has like, I would dare say, besides the hot glue gun, which we don't sell a hot glue gun, you get every single thing you need to build these at the Adafruit store.
Yeah.
All of the parts, including the goggles, just not a hot glue gun.
Yeah, I don't sell
And
this.
you know how I feel about hot glue, but
Yeah.
Hot glue is the right tool for this job. If you try to use a slow curing adhesive for this, it's hard to get the positioning of the LED rings right. The hot glue dries fast or cools fast, so that's what I recommend for this project. They're also on the inside, so don't need to be so durable.
Okay.
Phil B once tweeted that he feels bad every time he uses hot glue now because of my hot glue rant.
Hot glue shame.
But there's no hot glue shame.
Ain't no shame
Yeah,
like hot
right
glue shame.
It's just right tool for the job.
All
Anyway,
right.
goggles.
Component of the week. What do you got this week, Bex?
This is our 3 AAA battery holder with on-off switch and JST connector, and I was looking through my list and was really surprised we hadn't covered this battery holder yet on the show. You can use it for the goggles. In fact, it's featured in the video as the bigger battery pack you can use, but you can use it for almost any of our Flora or Gemma projects, and because it has an on-off switch on it, it makes a great power supply for Trinket or Gemma because you don't need to add another solder or add another switch. You can just plug it in and use the on-off switch on the battery pack and keep it in your pocket. It pops open really easily to change the batteries. We do have a waterproof one that screws shut if you'd prefer, but this one is really, for Halloween costumes, like the Cyberfalls wig behind me is a really good use case for this one. Because you can put it in your battery pack, use a JST extension wire like in this picture, and have it in your pocket for your Halloween costume, and it'll last a really long time. It's the power supply we use for the Firewalker sneakers, which you can also upgrade to lithium, but this is like safe for beginners, easy to come by these batteries, easy to turn it on and off, just like really user-friendly, good alkaline battery pack that you can also put rechargeables in.
Okay. And this is also
10% off.
10% off if I wanted to do that.
Code goggles. Say goggles. Code.
Okay, material spotlight.
So I would like to tell you a story about multicolored heat shrink tubing.
Ooh,
when I lived in
my favorite story.
You're so sweet.
Tell it again.
When I was living in Arizona, I would go to Fry's Electronics, and all the Fry's Electronics stores were decorated differently on the outside. One looked like a Mayan temple. The one that was near me had this.
Really?
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. Anybody who's out west knows this. They take pictures and put them on the internet.
So Fry's are allowed, the franchise are allowed to do this, or the corporate?
Yeah,
the corporate
I don't
is
even
just
think it is a franchise. I think it's just a chain.
Just
so
a thing.
So I think they want to make each one distinctive.
So you went to the Mayan Temple one?
No, the Mayan Temple one was a little bit out of the way. I went to the one that looked like the Coney Island parachute drop, although I'm not sure that's what they were going for. It's like red architecture-looking round metal.
Flying
like girders, kind of, like a gridded red metal.
Okay.
They had a big electronics section, electronic supply. They had etching chemicals, they had PCBs, they had, copper clad, they had resistors, they had enclosures, they had all kinds of crazy stuff I hadn't seen in stores before, even though they also had all of the stuff that Best Buy had, like appliances and speakers and gadget cases.
Cassette tapes, DVDs.
Movies, CDs, video games. But I got this really rad little multi-case of multicolored heat shrink tubing, and it was in different sizes, and each size bucket had different colors. And I love this stuff because you can blend it with whatever you're making. If you want to make the wiring decorative, you can match the color of your heat shrink tubing to the color of the wire.
Yeah.
You can use heat shrink tubing just as an indicator for long wires. And so I have this thing, and I've never been able, I have stopped using it in Adafruit videos because we only had black heat shrink tubing in the store, and we like to keep the things you see in the videos, the things you can actually buy in the store, so I wouldn't use my multicolored heat shrink. Now we have this multicolored heat shrink pack in the store, which means I can now use my multicolored heat shrink because it's indistinguishable.
Okay. All right, what a colorful story.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for humoring me.
This is great.
To tell you that very long story.
If anyone has a picture of the Maya Temple Fries, please email it to wearables@adafruit.com.
I think it's up north of Phoenix on the north side. If you have a picture, I dare say I'd send you a Gemma just for posting it on the Google Plus event.
All right. So goggles, still the code. We're still doing this. Still 10% off. It's question and answer time, Becky.
There's a lot of questions today.
What are we giving away?
We're giving away a Flora.
Okay, we'll zip through these.
Very exciting. If you have a request for a different prize, you can put it also in the thing, and I'll consider it. The Flora is easy, though, and you can make so many things with it.
Yeah. You should
maybe an EO wire pack next week or something.
Flora's a good one.
Halloween. Anyway, lots of questions today.
First question, this is from Richard. Hello, I'm making my own open source Arduino compatible watches and I ran into a few design problems. What's the best way to power this thing? Should I use a rechargeable lithium ion cell with built-in charger or 2032 coin cell? Also, do you think that slowing down the microcontroller speed is good for less power consumption? Thanks for the reply. By the way, I will use the Nokia 3310 display you sell. And then there was a little response that someone said already. The AVR chips in Arduino do not have, or do have sleep and power functions, but I don't know how well these functions are available through Arduino Speak. Might be libraries that handle this. Okay, well, we got some good news about this.
Yeah, we have a couple watch projects that you can look at just on the Adafruit site. The Times Square, the kit we sell, and the code is open source, and it runs on an Atmega 328, if I'm not mistaken, and it also runs on a coin cell. So although it doesn't have as complicated or as power hungry of a screen as that little Nokia guy, it's a good reference to look at for something that uses low power and then like boots up to show you the time.
This is pretty much like an Apple Watch, so it's fine.
It's pretty much just an Apple Watch. And then
this too.
We already made the Apple Watch. This is the Neo Geo Flora watch project, and we use a rechargeable li-poly battery for this. Originally a 150, and then we switched to the 500 when we got them in the store because they're bigger capacity without that much bigger size. I mean, I'd go with one of those beefy li-polys to start with your prototype, but there's also a lot of open source Arduino watches on the Adafruit blog.
In fact,
and
we have
in
videos,
the show and tell. Yeah.
Tons of videos. So Waltech documented like the whole thing, bringing it on. Super cool.
Yeah, that's an
young
OLED,
person.
right?
Yeah, this little OLED watch.
Yeah.
Put out the boards to Osh Park. You can watch the story unfold. Very cool.
On the show and tell.
Yeah.
So search the Adafruit blog for open source watch or Arduino watch.
Yeah, both.
And
both
you'll
those,
find lots and lots of things, including Waltech's open source Arduino watch. But I would say you're not going to be, probably with that screen, you're probably not going to be able to get away with the coin cell.
Yeah.
And I'm no low power expert, but that's why I'm just pointing you to other resources where other people have done this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the expert on the low power coding, but yeah, sure.
Okay. Next up, this is from Alexander. Should I consider the heat output of the LED pixels in enclosed tight spaces?
Usually I don't have to. Usually with NeoPixel stuff, even on full brightness white, nothing's going to get hot enough, even inside a polyester skirt, to really like burn you, or like if it needed heat sinks, it would come with one. And so that's what I would say. If you find anything that's marketed with a heat sink, or tells you need a heat sink, or like this 1 watt LED we have in the store comes with a heat sink like mounted on a PCB with extra tabs for connecting to a heat sink, that's when you need to start venting or allowing like a cooling fan, or putting it on a substrate that's not flammable, or that's not close to your person, because you could burn yourself or burn somebody else.
Yeah.
NeoPixels, I would say, not worried about heat output. They can get a little like warm, but like not burny and not damaging. So
okay, stop moving right along. This is from Tourists. I have a question. Looking for a suggestion for really tiny connectors. Have a prototype for LED scale
mail, like chain mail.
Like chain mail, scale mail. But having a hard time getting power delivered. Here's a picture.
I put the picture in the next slide.
Imagine if I like what HTTPS:// if I just read it, I wouldn't do that.
Are you a text to speech bot? I thought we upgraded your firmware a little while ago, so that wouldn't happen.
We rolled back.
Oh man.
We rolled back.
Okay, so what he's talking, Arcturus is talking about here is making like scale mail, as in like lizard, like an electronic demon maybe.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because we're familiar with those.
Yeah.
And then putting LEDs in all of these little laser cut pieces, and then connecting them together to make a mail armor.
Yeah.
I would, you know what? I wouldn't connect them. You could use a JST extension like this, which is pretty small, and have one on each one. But like those connectors aren't very robust for wiggle like a lot on the body. So like I don't know. I would just use the silicone wire and just solder them all together. And if you soldered them with a little like flexi loop of wire behind each one, it wouldn't affect the flexibility of the mail, because this stuff is really flexible. If you leave enough slack. That's my suggestion, although then it's all soldered together, so I don't know how you feel about that.
Next up, this is from Andrew. Hi guys, I just made a NeoPixel embedded hoodie for my 5-year-old son. Used 2-ply conductor thread powered by gem and li-poly. Run for the 6 NeoPixel about 1.5 feet, and I can see some flicker and color distortion in the last couple NeoPixels, especially when set all to white. I assume this is due to the some resistance of the thread. Question, for future products, how do I figure out what thread to use to minimize this? Could you quickly walk through a clear formula?
All right, there's no formula, Andrew. Straight up, no formula, okay? Because the...
Measure twice, power once?
Yeah, because the tightness with which you sew the thread affects the conductivity between the thread and the components. So although the resistance is something you can measure, so when you sew that long line, the power bus and the ground bus, and you zigzag it onto the surface, you can measure the resistance with a multimeter before you add your pixels. For 1.5 feet, like, or you're using the 2-ply. Also, like, if you follow any of my tutorials, and you've seen, if you look at the example projects I do, I would, if I were going 1.5 feet, I would use the 3-ply, and you can see that in the tutorial. So the suspenders use like 4 strands of 3-ply. The chameleon scarf actually uses 1 strand of the 3-ply, and I think it has 8. Does it have 8 or 12? It has 8 or 12 NeoPixels over a much longer distance than 1.5 feet.
Yeah.
And although yes, there's some pinkening as you go down the line, the power transfer is pretty good. So the tightness of your stitches really does make a difference, but you can measure the resistance of your bus before you add the pixels. I have a couple more tips for this for Andrew though.
Okay.
If you, so I put this for you. See how we have this textile display. The top row isn't sewn in yet, so it's not going to be on anyway, but this is several dozen NeoPixels, and they're being powered. So also I wanted to do a live demo. I don't know if those are some trigger words, right? This right now is being powered by one of these USB power bricks, and you can see that the color is pretty stable.
Yeah.
It's not doing white, and you would see some pinkening if there was some white there, but if I transfer the battery and I use a smaller amperage battery like this 1300 milliamp hour LiPo, you're gonna see some different behavior in the circuit already. I don't know if you can tell on the camera how much darker.
Yeah.
And then when it tries to change all the colors at once, we're gonna get some flicker, I think. It was doing it in dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like you say you're using a LiPo battery, what battery are you using? If you use a battery with more current delivery, your pixels might perform better. If you're using that 150, the 150 to power 6 NeoPixels on full brightness is like too much. So you should either use the 500 milliamp hour or upgrade to the 1200. Yeah, look at, now it's performing really well. I was going to give you a demo about how it flakes out when I use the other battery, but it's not flaking out.
It's all long that.
This thing always works when I don't want it to, and doesn't work when I do want it to do. But you can also, I have another tip.
Oh, you got another one?
Yeah, I have a lot of tips
Central.
for you. Yeah, you can also, you can put the battery in the middle. If you have the battery, the power source coming from the coming like 3 pixels this way and 3 pixels this way, it'll reduce there'll be more all the same color, more consistent color instead of dropping off. For really long runs of pixels like this one, we would even put another battery at the end, because then you have power coming in both ends, and then the darkest pixels would be in the center. So there's ways to mitigate that, but you probably should have used 3-ply thread for that, and also sewn a little bit tighter. Show me your stitches.
Okay. Next up, last couple questions. We'll get through these pretty fast. Becky, I'm planning to make a wearable project with NeoPixels. Pattern is very complex and will likely require a Raspberry Pi running Python, which will send in instructions to a Flora to determine animated pattern. NeoPixels, no need for a display or keyboard. Do you have any recommendations? I'm using a Pi for wearable. Does Adafruit have any plans to make a wearable Pi that would be a complement to the Flora? Thanks for everyone at Adafruit for inspiring technical creativity on such a large and diverse scale. Thanks,
Mike.
Yeah.
So no. The quick answer to your question is no. If you want to do a large number of NeoPixels on a garment, Raspberry Pi plus Flora is not the way to go. Flora maxes out at like 500 pixels, but like I dare say you might be able to try more at lower brightness.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of memory. So if you're trying to do something very, very complicated, like a coat with 1200 LEDs and you want it to play full video, what's that coat called? Shoot. The coat with the trench coat with the 1200 LEDs on it.
Yeah, I don't remember
Anthro-Loom.
Yeah.
It was on last week's show. This guy made this whole big trench coat, and it doesn't use NeoPixels, it uses the other kind of addressable pixels with the 2 wires, because the timing protocol is a little bit less precise. But I think he's using a beagle bone so that he can feed like the full video signal into it. And you can do something similar with a Raspberry Pi. If you look at Phil B's Light Painter, that's something that uses the Raspberry Pi to control a large number of addressable LEDs. But we're not going to ever make a Raspberry Pi for wearables. It's like you don't need a full Linux computer on you. You don't. I included this GIF of Noe with the Pi glass and the battery pack, because if you have a Raspberry Pi on you, you also need one of these big battery packs on you, and then all of a sudden you turn into a gargoyle from Snow Crash.
I guess a little unwieldy. Okay.
So no.
Well, let us know what you're up to.
Yeah,
I'm curious
sure.
to see
Just
it.
use a Beagle bone. You don't even need a Flora.
Next up, if I can use some of bits of EL panel on a motorcycle chest protector gloves, is it realistic to pick up the 12-volt signal from the turn indicators and wirelessly sync the left and right side?
Realistic, yes. Straightforward, maybe not the most. He's talking about EL panel, which is, we have this picture of here, some kind.
Yeah.
It's like EL wire, but flat, and you can cut it into shapes. So I can
Yeah.
imagine you could put it on your helmet or your chest plate, your
Yeah.
gloves. I think you could do something with the 315 megahertz remote triggers. They're kind of like dumb triggers, right? Like each
Yeah.
button just sets a pin high on the receiver. So you can, like in our motorcycle backpack project, you could take the remote, open it up, and put that in to also get triggered when you trigger your turn signal on the bike. And then you could have the receiver, when a pin goes high on that, you could have a microcontroller checking to see that that pin goes high, and then triggering a transistor that trips the DC power on your EL wire inverter. But you can also look out there in the world. We think SparkFun and Seed make these EL wire sequencer boards that maybe already have a microcontroller on board and will let you then trigger bays of EL wire or EL panel separately. We don't make one of those. Because we don't believe in people and we don't believe in having the open AC current on the board.
Not our
and
thing
encouraging people to have wearables, but they do exist out
Yeah,
there.
not our thing yet for wearables, anyways. Okay.
We use so much stuff with the
It is giveaway time.
Okay, sorry, we're running a little over.
Yeah, while you do the giveaway, I'm going to hit these lights because we're going to have the disco party.
Okay, disco party. Okay, I'm picking the winner from the hat. It is winner, chicken dinner. Andrew, you win. Andrew, you win a Flora. So I want to see your ambitious LED, your ambitious LED pixel project that's powered correctly using maybe our tips video on powering your wearable electronics project. Andrew, you can email support@adafruit.com to claim your prize. I'll also send you a message on, it looks like Google Plus. Is Google Plus the one with the round icons? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now it's dark.
Hey, everybody.
I put them on upside down, but you know what? That's okay.
They still look fabulous. Anybody want a screenshot? We'll go full screen so we can ask somebody to take a screenshot for our show thumbnail.
Yeah. Hello.
That's our show. If you have a project to share, you should join.
Some type of RAM or something.
Yeah, it looks great. It's really good.
It's really bad.
You can show me. Now can you do your Werner Herzog impression? If you have a project to share, you could join our weekly show and tell. That's tonight at 7:30 on Google Plus Hangouts. And you can just post that you wish to be added to the circle, and you'll be invited this night and every show and tell night, so you could show up or not, to bring your electronics project and show it off to Phil and Lady Ada. And then at 8 o'clock is Ask an Engineer.
Yeah, special guest tonight, the folks from Gotenna,
Yeah.
Daniela and Raphael, if you want to learn about a very cool
It's
wireless.
I dare say it's a wearables.
It's a wearable.
It's an off-grid antenna for your cell phone.
And I will talk about some history of open source hardware. Raphael, he's like a great grandfather of open source hardware that not a lot of people know about, and co-founder of NYC Resistor.
He also made the Twitchy robot kit, which is dear to my heart. So they'll be on tonight at 8 o'clock, so you can ask them some questions. And then don't miss our 3D Hangout tomorrow at 3 p.m. with Matt, Noe, and Pedro. Talk all about 3D printing, because you know those are 3D printed.
See things like this.
Halloween 3D printing stuff is really it's awesome.
Okay.
Thanks so much for watching. Tune in next week, 2 p.m. on Wednesdays.
Bye-bye.